Welcome to the lecture series on object oriented analysis and design. Well, we are looking at a universe where several ideas are now appearing programmable. Till recently, we were not too sure whether certain ideas which we have been talking are automatable, programmable, computerizable. It is still an ongoing exercise. However, in the field of object oriented analysis and design, the one language design that has caught the attention, that is 1980, at the time of 1980 is Smalltalk. It was done in 1980. 20 years later, unified modeling language which shifted everything to the design phase, from programming to the design phase, became synonymous with OOAD. Smalltalk was not so well known because it is only 1990 that object oriented as a technology idea to salvage the fledgling groupings of software industries, as I must say, so that they can do better, has happened like that. Single organization may not deliver the entire complexity, we have to group. Many reasons why there was a slump in 1990. It is not necessarily that the principles and concepts were not adequate or not well formed, but the fact that business dynamics began to impact software development by 1990 made us bring out object oriented from virtually cold storage and then try to do something. Smalltalk did not get so much of recognition, but it is very much a wonderful candidate based on which we make comparisons. Some critical concepts were not there in Smalltalk, but it is worthwhile looking at Smalltalk. So, let me just take you through a bird's eye view. It has created what is called model. That is fine, we have been thinking of a model, but then there is a meta model. Smalltalk is still today one of the few fully reflective, fully dynamic, object oriented development environments. So, in academics, we cannot resist this idea that something has survived for 4 decades. It must be good, 80 to 2020, and it has survived the spell, a very strong spell where UML was unified modeling language was deemed synonymous with OOAD. There is something in this Smalltalk which has withstood 4 decades. We still see how a simple uniform object model enables live, dynamic, interactive software development. It is so easy, it appeals to the way we think objects should be brought together. I have given some simple examples of Meccano, where there are individual components, about 30 to 40 components, some standard images. You can use some subset of the 30 components to arrive at one of those images which are feasible using this many components. It was a game, it was a summer game, which who can make an artifact with maximum number of available components, or a choice is made who can make it faster. Simple games, summer games, which is very good, but then they are all tangible objects where the interfaces are very clear. We are now trying to see if we can do it in software. So, we will see how a simple uniform object model enables live, dynamic, interactive software development. So, this is how it is, origins of Smalltalk. Faro an example, special preview edition prepared for this course. This is there in the license, common license. I will give it to you at the end. It's a very nice idea. This is a simple course structure. A course book is available. It's available in the open. So, what is it that we are doing here is everything is an object. Everything happens by sending messages. All the source code is there all the time. You can't lose the code. You can change everything. You can change things without restarting the system. The debugger is your friend. Good, bad, right, wrong, they are all there. It's Creative Commons license, it's there. Faro is the book. All this is based, these slides are based on content picked from there. It's a simple, it's a full length course. If you want a simple language, it does not take so much of teaching, very quickly one can learn, and these are the ways in which it is used. Talks about pure object oriented model, classes and meta classes, reflection, design and implementation of dynamic languages, advanced object oriented design concept. Very quickly one can learn what is it that Smalltalk is doing. It is not like telling that the typical pun we have, learn Java or master C in 21 days, learn Java in 7 days. Now, that is not the way which we are talking about. The language itself is simple, there is not much to learn, it is much to do. Everything is an object, everything happens by sending messages, all the source code is there all the time. You can't lose the code, you can change everything, you can change things without restarting the system. The debugger is your friend. What is so fascinating is the ability in Smalltalk to change. Everything can be changed. It is so simple. If you want to change this, you change this. You have a change impact that tells. If something goes wrong, just rely on the debugger. It is these features, the last 3 features, that make Smalltalk a wonder even today, because in 1980s the rigidity of the world of software engineering was so high that it was expected that everything is cast in stone. Only then we will start. Only when everything is cast in stone we will start, otherwise we can't. So, this kind of flexibility, a change, was something which was fascinating in Smalltalk, and we attribute it to the core technology called object oriented. It is that technology that made it possible. It is immediately an eye catching work. Try not to care, beginning Smalltalk programmers often have trouble because they think they need to understand all the details of how a thing works before they can use it. This means it takes quite a while before they can master transcript hello world. Now, this is where we have been talking about a change in the way we think. Each one need not know everything about what they want to do. If somebody tells this is doing this, if the interface is working, we can go ahead. If you want to fix a tube light, it is so simple, you fix a tube light. That is all I need to know. I am not willing to study electricity, I am not willing to find out how the tube light is made, I am not even willing to find out how it reached home. If a tube light has to be fit in a holder, I will fit it. That is all. To that extent, we can simplify. In other words, that ability to task has to happen in the field of software engineering, and it happens more in this method. Then we become operationally good. The development automatically relates both to the business, the ideas, and the way in which it happens on the ground very quickly. We will see it very quickly. Not because we know everything about everything, it is because we know how things can be put together to make work. Instinctively we will know that. We will have to do that exercise to find out. How does this work? With I do not care, I am not really bothered about how my watch is working. Whenever I want, it is showing the correct time. Over the last several years it is showing the correct time, then why should I bother about it? How do you know it is correct? By interactions. So far I have not missed a meeting, so far I have not missed a class, let us say. Few minutes delay is understandable, measurable. It is very reliable as far as I am concerned. That watch is very reliable. It shows correctly what is happening. Faro, the Faro project is a project. As we said, there are many ideas in the field of what is called open source. Linux remains a flagship, talked about Apache. Even today there are so many open source. Faro is a very good Creative Commons license project exclusively on Smalltalk. So, later on it is a Creative Commons license, you can simply go to this project page faroproject.org, then you will know everything about it. It is a Faro, PHARO, which is a project name which talks about all that you need to jump start, all that you need to know to jump start working with Smalltalk. So, there are free books, plenty of free books. I have used something about this free book which is there, that is Stephanie's book. There are so many free books. It was a runaway success, believe it or not. In a rapidly changing domain called software engineering, this language Smalltalk remains live and a keen competitor after 4 decades of its design. The first decade was very dull, and last 2 decades we are not talking about programming in that sense of programming in the world of OAD. We were talking only about unified modeling language, but then there is nothing like taking the programming route to software engineering. Till today you can't beat it. What is Smalltalk? Pure object oriented language and environment, origin of many innovations in OO development. We talked about IDEs, improves on many of its successors. Even today successive designs were not proven to be better. Single inheritance, dynamically typed, guiding principle, everything is an object, class, browser, debugger. The Linux world or the Unix world began to talk about everything is a file. This is everything is an object. Mature class libraries and tools, a virtual machine, Smalltalk, C++, Java based on the comparison. This is what I casted it in a different way with more languages. I had time, I could do that. Small and uniform language, syntax fits on one sheet of paper, just one sheet of paper. The entire syntax of Smalltalk is there in front of you. Simple, compact language. Till today, it is a wonder. A technology which was considered very advanced, object oriented, and a language which withstood 4 decades is just that simple. So, academic debates have been happening saying that good language for teaching cannot be so complex. I have seen Ada, for example, there is a book which talks about the context free grammar. In itself it is hundreds of pages, it takes that many features. Java, it takes so many features. This is just one page, one single page. Large library of reusable classes, advanced development tools. This idea is borrowed, the libraries, use of libraries, reuse, the subject matter of the next lectures, subsequent lectures, but it facilitates. This is how we started talking about that idea called reuse. Advanced development tools, browsers, GUI builders, inspectors, change management tools, crash recovery tools. So, please see one page of a language, a uniform language, a simple language called Smalltalk has resulted in building large libraries, advanced development tools, interactive virtual machine technology. Akin with what is called Java virtual machine, this is very good technology, team working. Worldwide there are so many resources, everywhere you go so many resources. My choice is Faro, it has been very useful. You can have a course on Smalltalk, very quick course, short course on Smalltalk. Course schedule, goals, resources, what is Smalltalk, origins of Smalltalk, Smalltalk key concepts, the Smalltalk environment, project at Xerox PARC, and Smalltalk 72, every object was an independent entity. Smalltalk 80 is the standard in 80. 72 was there, 70s there was an idea called Dynabook. So, there are so many languages which have been inspired by Smalltalk, Flex, Lisp, NLS, Simula, Dynabook, there are so many such things. Dynabook is something like this, it is just a book kind of a thing where you can use, the computer will serve as a book, which was not considered feasible at that point in time when Alan Kay was talking about it. Now, all information is there, it is a different book, unstructured book, talks like that, it works like that. A machine to run Smalltalk, Palo Alto's machine, and this was always given as a very good example. On the screen, as you write the code, you will see what is the object that you are building. The code related to wing, if you touch, the focus will be on this wing. You can tell which wing you are talking about. If you are talking about engine, there is a debugger, there is an interface, you just talk, it is all written in Smalltalk. If you want to do something modification of the wing, on the screen you are seeing what you are trying to do on this wing, what you are trying to do on this. Most advanced CAD/CAM pieces of software are very well known for these features, but nothing to beat Smalltalk in its elegance, provided you are thinking like that. It is an object oriented thinking that is necessary. This is all is the box. We could not write too many complex programs, that has been a that remains a complaint in Smalltalk, but then it is a very effective way of talking about object oriented. If you are talking about a wheel, look at the module that you have written which is talking about the wheel. As you modify, you will see what is happening here. To be based on graphics, at a time when graphics was beyond the reach, 80s was too early to talk about graphics. If you go back, we are only talking about basic in India until 88, 90, we were only talking about basic, and at that time hardly 2 commands were there, peek and poke. So, they said it's a language, yes, it's a good language, but it's way ahead of its time. Object oriented is next 10 years, it was all classified for such kind of works which are more to showcase. Yeah, it's a good idea, it will facilitate, Smalltalk will facilitate. First to be based on graphics, multi-windowing environment, integrated development, pointing device mouse is accepted, ideas were taken over by Apple, Microsoft Windows, platform independent virtual machine, garbage collector is there, just in time compilation, everything was there, the complete source code is there. So, Smalltalk, its historicity is like this. Again, it did not happen in a vacuum, best of the things do not really happen in vacuum, it is not correct to think like that. So, what we are talking about is in 1950 the exercise was virtually not there. In 60s we have talked about high level languages Algol, Fortran, COBOL, and somewhere here in the Simula category we talked about Smalltalk, AT, it has resulted in so many things. Faro is a good project in 2010, I am using this 2010 project, based on that we are talking about it. There are some very good universities which teach this. Smalltalk is a point of teaching, University of Bern, which was mentioned in the slides, teach Smalltalk. They have chosen Smalltalk as a language to teach till recently it is like that. So, we have talked about different languages, different names we are talking about, Squeak, Java, Self is a language, JavaScript, Ruby, Python, Groovy. Now, once again we can compare, nothing prevents us, and comparing and contrast is something which we do, it is out of academic interest. I have put 3 different methods. The one that dominates academic environments is OO concept based, you can take each of the languages, make that table. I use 7 languages, 11 features, if you want you can use more. Likewise, the TUBE, there is some limitation on the search engine selection, there is a limitation on the candidate language selection, and the way has been talked about quite some time. Google will search, some 5000 hits will have to come in a specified time, only then we will accept that language for some kind of a ranking, and today Java is ranking high again. This July rankings are very high, very recently it came, July 2020 it has come, we are still in July, early July it was released. First interpreter, more agents than objects, every object could specify its own syntax, redesign in 76, 78 note taker project, and yes, the Byte magazine with Smalltalk. This is what it was. The Smalltalk was so compact, just 1 page syntax. Byte was has been a very well reputed, well regarded magazine in the field of IT industry, and we always thought that from wherever it is, if the code has to land here, it will land. That was the problem we had. You plucked out everything from the context. Imagined that when the code which is eventually written runs on the machine which we are talking about, it should run at a place where we plucked it out in the first place. For that we needed disciplines, we talked about all that. So, wherever it has to land, you just tell it has to land on this, on top of this, it should go and land. Smalltalk was a good idea, it is a very nice idea. ASCII, clean primitives for portability, meta classes, blocks as first class objects, gallery editor, mixing text, painting and animations, alternate reality kit, physics simulation, books for +4 external virtual machines, creation of Park Place systems. Now, please understand that for everything we can create a very rigorous looking method. However, when we look at other factors, the decision will have to be taken. We have to look at the cogency, we have to look at so many other things. So, most of the times, even though Smalltalk is all this, I am not doing an aggressive sales on this idea of Smalltalk, but the sheer survival of 4 decades is a talking point in itself, very difficult to beat that in computer science and software, many things are just like that. So, we simply said that it is good, everything is good, it scores very well even today. However, the choice of the language is dependent on many factors, multiple factors, wherever we are talking about, whichever context. Creation of Park Place systems, ANSI draft, but there are methods. 3 dominant methods today are existing. So, there are very good new Smalltalk implementations. Smalltalk went to implementation in 95. 1980 the standard was done. Smalltalk 80, cleaning primitives for portability, meta classes, blocks, projects gallery editor, alternative reality, books plus 4 external virtual machines by 81, 88 creating of Park Place, that is Xerox Palo Alto, ANSI draft, the ANSI code, American National Standard Institute draft, it was there. So, when we talk about C, we talk about ANSI C. 1995 new Smalltalk implementations, MT, Dolphin Squeak, Smalltalk X, GNU Smalltalk, it has its own progress. So, it is very good considering the fact that it had a very good beginning very early. So, it was a very slow development exercise, and what we have done is a very simple quick check on how it all began somewhere in similar days 70s. So, one decade it has withstood the test of time and it does well. Even today it is a contender, if you want to use you can use. However, the inventory people have to talk about it. F-script, GNU is into what is called free or liber open source, it came into the open source. All the things that I am talking about primarily are post the Smalltalk walking into open source, and that happened very quickly. So, it is out here Smalltalk 80 somewhere very quickly before 90s happened, it came into the open, and Faro is a very full fledged project out of which courses are being defined. It is a very good project. Smalltalk can become a quick course, does not take much time, very quickly a week or 10 days you can start becoming a very good programmer. Squeak is a modern open source highly portable fast full featured Smalltalk implementation. Faro is a lean and clean fork of Squeak. So, I am talking about the Faro project, it is a very good idea, very nicely done. What are the key concepts? Everything is an object, number is an object, file, editor, compilers, points, tools, booleans, everything is an object, nothing which you are talking about is not an object. How tangible it is, that is up to you. We are very good on tangible objects, but then when they are abstract we still have all the troubles. As a language it was very good, everything happens by sending messages, every object is an instance of one class, objects have private and a protected state, dynamic binding, features of object oriented which I have been talking about. A class specifies the structure and behavior of all its instances. Classes are objects that create other instances. Meta classes are classes that create classes as instances. So, class will create objects, meta class will create class. It is a very good idea in Smalltalk. You can create more classes. What is the idea? The idea is the moment you see a meta class you understand more things. Generically it takes you very quickly from a bottom up idea to the genericity. So many objects are there, what is the maximum common thing? All this facilitate recording of a lecture. So many things are there in this particular room. So, that is one. What are the objects? Different subjects. Every day it is a very busy studios these days, thanks to very dynamic staff here, it is very busy. Every day all 2 hour slots are blocked, it is a very busy studio. So, all these are objects, lecture object 1, lecture object 2, lecture object 3. So, it is taking care of a class of exercises called lecturing. Is that all? The answer is no. Meta class will tell you that there are different other classes. We are only focused on what facilitates the lecturing. There is an editing room, there is a recording room, there is a store room, there are so many other things. So, the meta class. The meta class will tell you that is a bigger exercise from which we are talking about it. The sooner you build classes, the better it is to see what I have been talking about, the bottom up giving you the confidence that it will meet the analysis very quickly. The development, the operations and the business go hand in hand. Makes sense? They seamlessly integrate together, the business dynamics will melt. Message, which action to perform, method, how to carry out the action. We carry forward all these things even today. Even today in the world of object oriented we use the similar lexicon and terminology. We talked about a message, then we talk about a method, it is how to do it. Virtual machine plus image plus changes and sources. So, what does a virtual machine do? The virtual machine tells us that even though this much of hardware is there, it is all not coming into the purview of this program. This footprint is enough. A bytecode interpreter, the virtual machine took us a very long way. The idea of virtual machine till today is spoken of. Cloud computing thrives on virtual machine. It can happen anywhere, but there is a small footprint on my machine which tells that it has happened here. So, sources of code, bytecode is translated to native code by a just in time compiler. So, we have been talking about this idea of virtual machine much before Java virtual machine came into vogue, became very popular. Java was very good, particularly because it came along with it lot of packages, everything, every user interface is a package, networking there is a package, it is already done. Why do you want to redo the exercise? That is what is the topic of some lectures, reuse. It came with a very powerful idea saying that we can create a package and reuse. Bytecode is translated to native code by a just in time compiler. Some small talks, not Faro. Faro does not do that, it does not do just in time. Source and change, there are differences. An application can be delivered as bytecode files that will be executed with a virtual machine. So, the Smalltalk environment is just this simple. All that you need is to understand that there is a need for a mouse, the interface comes, you have to select, operate, choose a window, click, it does like that. The world menu, the menu is just like this, it is called the world, Smalltalk world, class browser, workspace, test runner, Monticello browser, tools, windows, debug, system, class browser, thread safe transcript, shout workspace. That is how the terminology is. It is a thread, you write hello world, it automatically becomes a code. When you touch the code, you will automatically come to hello world. It is an object, everything is an object. There is nothing that is not an object. So, the code pertaining to this object is there. If you touch the code, you come here, if you touch this, you go to the code, and it is there, lot of windows. This is the window that I am capturing as an image. Later on, anywhere you touch, it will tell which is the component that you are talking about. This is the overall object. You talk about this wing, you can touch that code, you click here, it will show you where the code is, you click on the code, it will tell where it is. So, it is a very good idea. Within the ambit of that entire program, we are very efficient, we are efficiently visualizing. It is something which was very radical in the early days, took 10 years to standardize as an idea. So, message is there, method is there, talked about virtual machine, we talked about the environment. It is like this set of menus, easily understandable menus. We can talk about this, a Smalltalk browser. It is just that complex. I showed it in the other image also. We have a zero divide, the code, how it interacts. So, this is the set of objects. You touch any object, it will tell you through. Much later, outside of a programming language, we were able to create a modeling language, set of 9 diagrams, whereas here it is just like a program, text. People are not so good on diagrams, text, we think we are very good as programmers. Most of our programs are all linear language scripts, which works like that. So, what we have done is a very simple idea called file browser, method finder, message name tool, change sorter, SU unit, test runner. There are so many other tools associated with this kind of an exercise of Faro, which has implemented a very good Smalltalk. It is a very good Smalltalk implementation to a point where, as I said, one of the universities where I have had the fortune to visit, University of Bern in Switzerland, was talking about Faro to teach. It is a choice, we can teach that. Method finder, or use an example to find a method in the system, fragment of a selector in top pane, we have to accept it, methods in change sets and versions, the version control is here, everything is there. Please understand that we began in summary a set of disciplines which talk about Faro class library, good questions, and that is a license, Creative Commons licenses by share alike, and everything is there. It's open. We have to simply acknowledge, and that's very essential in the exercise. That's a license under which we can teach Faro, we can download. It's a good example. It's a very good example. So, what are all those features? In summary, why did we like this? Why did we like the idea of Smalltalk? So, it is like this. Everything is an object. Everything happens by sending messages. All the source code is there all the time. You can't lose code. You can't change. You can change everything. You can change things without restarting the system. The debugger is your friend. These three disciplines, these three features are so wonderful. Remember, it happened by 1980. You can change everything. Version control is there. Nobody throws away. You can't lose the code. The code is still there. The change, the version control, source code control is always very clearly maintained. So, these are the features of Smalltalk. One good implementation is Faro, that is latest 2010, which I ran into. It works, it works well. 2017 I was in University of Bern, because my university sponsored. I went there for a conference. They were teaching Faro and they were working on that. The debugger is your friend. You can change things without restarting the system. You can change everything. That is something which was fascinating about Smalltalk. Nobody thought that making a change is so easy, but we were always promising in the field of software engineering, change is only thing that happens. Thank you. We will meet in the next lecture.